Spring had decided it was still winter. Luckily for us, we had plans to hunker down in South Dakota for a bit to visit a few iconic must-see locations. Welcome to South Dakota, everyone. I have not been back to this state since I was about 7 or 8 years old. We passed through with my grandparents and visited Mount Rushmore, which I was very impressed with at that age, and I haven't been back since. But we're here now and it's gonna be awesome. Today we're gonna be visiting a waterfall here in Spearfish Canyon. That's what we're gonna do first. And then for the next couple of nights, we'll be staying in Deadwood, South Dakota. The entire town is designated a historic landmark, and we will be staying in a hotel, the oldest hotel in the town, which is supposedly haunted. The Spearfish Canyon Scenic Byway is a 45 to 60-minute drive through South Dakota's Black Hills, featuring 1,000-foot limestone cliffs, waterfalls, and hiking. Today we would be hiking to Spearfish Falls, a 50-foot, absolutely gorgeous waterfall. Even though winter didn't seem to know it was spring, I felt like this was a great time to visit. Joey and I had this trail completely to ourselves. Wow. It's really pretty. That is a really beautiful waterfall, and the awesome thing is we haven't seen sun in the last few days. So the sun happened to pop out right now, which is awesome. The Spearfish Falls Trail is located right behind the Latch String Inn restaurant and across the street from the Latch String Inn. The start of the drive into this canyon was only about 10 miles from Deadwood. We're making a quick pit stop here before we leave the canyon for a coffee break. These are the Black Hills of South Dakota. A lot of history here. Back in the 1800s, the gold rush days, when the colonists came from the eastern side of the United States here to the west, and then obviously a lot of Native American history here as well. The settlement of Deadwood began illegally in the 1870s on land which had been granted to the Dakota people in the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. The treaty had guaranteed ownership of the Black Hills to the Dakota people, who considered this area to be sacred. The settlers' squatting led to numerous land disputes, several of which reached the United States Supreme Court. Everything changed after Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer was ordered to lead an expedition into the Black Hills and announced the discovery of gold in 1874 on French Creek near present-day Custer, South Dakota. This announcement was a catalyst for the Black Hills gold rush, and miners and entrepreneurs swept into the area. They created the new and lawless town of Deadwood, which quickly reached a population of approximately 5,000. By 1877, about 12,000 people settled in Deadwood, while other sources put the peak number even at 25,000 in 1876. Deadwood became known for its lawlessness. Murders were common, and justice for murders not always fair and impartial. The town attained further notoriety when gunman Wild Bill Hickok was killed on August 2, 1876. Both he and Calamity Jane were buried at Mount Moriah Cemetery, as well as other notable figures such as Seth Bullock. We began our stay in Deadwood by visiting the Welcome Center, where you can pick up brochures with all kinds of history of the area and also a map of the city. I think it's a great place to start if you are visiting Deadwood. The historic Bullock Hotel is located at the corner of Wall Street and Main Street in Deadwood. It was built by Seth Bullock, an early sheriff of Deadwood, and his partner Sol Starr in around 1895 at a cost of $40,000, and is the oldest hotel in Deadwood, boasting a casino, restaurant, and 28 of its original 63 rooms. Seth Bullock died in room 211. We were staying in room 212. Many people who have supposedly had contact with Bullock's ghost say they were never harmed, but merely touched or called out for. Apparitions and orbs have often been reported by guests. All right, here is our room. We already had something weird happen. The door wouldn't open. And we kept trying the lock, and then it just automatically opened. It's like something didn't want us coming in here. Definitely tell it's older, all this wood work. Obviously it's been renovated over the years, but... Ghost tours of the hotel are held regularly, and many thrill seekers, ghost hunting groups, and non-believers have spent the night. It is the historic Bullock Hotel. What are you doing standing outside the door?
Looking for ghosts.
Employees say the ghost merely continues to play host and often makes sure his employees are working hard, because many employees have said when they were taking breaks, they felt paranormal presence and got back to work immediately. For me, I appreciate the history of this place. I had recently watched documentaries on both Sitting Bull and Deadwood. It was indeed the Wild West back then. It began to snow once again, so we spent the rest of the evening staying warm and cozy inside. We are gonna go grab some breakfast here in the hotel at the hotel restaurant. See how that is. The Bullock Hotel was built by Seth Bullock between 1894 and 1896 from a converted warehouse to a 3-story hotel shortly after the Deadwood Fire of 1894, which destroyed the original 2-story wood frame building and devastated much of the town of Deadwood. It is believed that the hotel was originally constructed and decorated in an Italianate and Victorian style, with the first floor of the hotel boasting a large dining room in the rear, a kitchen and pantry, a sample room where salesmen could store their cases, a grand lobby, and offices in the front. Now we're going to take a quick drive to the local cemetery where some notable figures of Deadwood are laid to rest. We are here at the Mount Moriah Cemetery, which is the final resting place for Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. Wild Bill Hickok is considered the most famous resident of Deadwood. However, he only lived here for about a month before he was shot in the saloon. James Butler Hickok, better known as Wild Bill Hickok, was a folk hero of the American Old West, known for his life on the frontier as a soldier, scout, lawman, cattle rustler, gunslinger, gambler, showman, and actor, and for his involvement in many famous gunfights. Calamity Jane was an American frontier's woman, sharpshooter, and storyteller. In addition to many exploits, she was known for being an acquaintance of Wild Bill Hickok. Deadwood had its heyday from 1876 to 1879 after gold deposits had been discovered there, leading to the Black Hills Gold Rush. At its height, the city had a population of 25,000, attracting Old West figures such as Wyatt Earp, Calamity Jane, Seth Bullock, and Wild Bill Hickok, who was killed in Deadwood. The entire town has been designated as a National Historic Landmark District for its preserved Gold Rush era architecture. A cool thing about modern day Deadwood is that you can gamble. I'm sure you've seen the slot machines. You could also place bets on sports. So we might put a little wager down this evening. Of course, we had to visit the saloon where Wild Bill Hickok was shot. Hickok was shot in 1876 and killed while playing poker in a saloon in Deadwood, Dakota territory, by Jack McCall, an unsuccessful gambler. The hand of cards that he supposedly held at the time of his death has become known as the dead man's hand, 2 pairs of black aces and 8s. In early 1876, frontiersman Charlie Utter and his brother Steve led to Deadwood a wagon train containing what they believed were needed commodities to bolster business. Women were in high demand by the miners, and the business of prostitution proved to have a good market. We're back here in the room, and we could have sworn that we left the TV, or we turned off the TV when we left the room. And when we came back, it was on. That's one of the things that I heard happens in this hotel, is that the TVs turn off and on. And I don't know, I mean, there is a possibility that we forgot, but I don't know. Could be something strange. All right, before I say goodnight and close out this video for the evening, I want to try something since we are supposedly in a haunted hotel. Unfortunately, you hear some sort of water running, like constantly here. It sounds like somebody's in the shower, so there is that background noise. But I just want to ask if there is anybody besides Joey and I here. If you are here, if it's either Seth Bullock, the sheriff who owned the hotel, or anybody else, maybe give us a sign. Okay, well, I guess we'll see when we edit this if we hear anything or see anything. Joey has got my Sony facing the room, so we've got 2 cameras going in here, and we'll see what we hear. Tomorrow we will be heading to a new location. I'm very excited about that. It's been very nice to be here in a hotel for the last couple of nights. It was kind of an excuse for us to get out of the inclement weather, the cold and the snow and the rain, and to take showers and that sort of thing. But tomorrow it's back to camping and at a whole new location, so can't wait to show you where we're going next. I will see you all in the morning. Good night. Good morning. We have hit the road this morning. We're heading south. We're going to be looking for a camp to visit a very cool place, which you will find out about in a little bit. We didn't experience any paranormal activity that we know of. We will have to see once I start editing the footage if anything appears in the video or audio. We'll see. Anyhow, it is a beautiful day. It's the first day that we've woken up with pretty much clear skies so far within the last week or so. So it's really nice, very crisp, very chilly, a beautiful day to be traveling. Well, the campground that we were planning on camping at is not open yet, and it was right here by Mount Rushmore, which we intended to visit anyhow, so we're going to visit it now. Mount Rushmore National Monument is centered on a colossal sculpture carved into the granite face of Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills of South Dakota. The sculptor Gutzon Borglum named it the Shrine of Democracy. The sculpture features 60-foot-tall depictions of the heads of 4 United States presidents, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln, respectively chosen to represent the nation's foundation, expansion, development, and preservation. That was pretty awesome, seeing Mount Rushmore for the first time since I was about probably 9 or 10 years old. It's really an impressive feature. We have made it here to our camp, but I'm gonna save that for the next video. So you'll have to watch the next video to see where I am. Maybe some of you can take a guess. I've been having an absolute blast here in South Dakota so far. Being able to spend a couple of days in Deadwood was really cool. Spearfish Canyon was amazing. The history here is incredible. And it's just always fun to explore places that you have never explored before. So that makes it even more special. Definitely looking forward to my remaining adventures here in South Dakota, and make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video here. Thank you all so much for joining me. As always, I appreciate you coming along, and I will see you on the next adventure. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.